The National Fuel Gas Code, specifically NFPA 54, addresses the required clearance between an electrical service and a gas meter installed on the exterior of a building. The primary reason for this regulation is to ensure the safety and accessibility of both the electrical and gas systems. Specifically, the code mandates a minimum separation distance of 3 feet between the electrical service equipment, such as the service entrance conductors, disconnects, and metering equipment, and the gas meter. This minimum distance is essential for several reasons. Firstly, it provides adequate physical separation to prevent accidental contact between the electrical components and the gas meter. Electrical arcing or faults can generate sparks and heat, which, if occurring in close proximity to a gas meter, could potentially ignite leaking gas and cause an explosion or fire. Secondly, the clearance allows sufficient space for maintenance and repair work to be performed on both the electrical service and the gas meter without creating hazardous situation. Technicians need unobstructed access to these components to conduct inspections, repairs, and replacements safely and efficiently. Restricting access due to inadequate clearance could lead to rushed or improper work, increasing the risk of accidents. Thirdly, the specified distance minimizes the risk of electromagnetic interference from the electrical service affecting the gas meter's operation. Although modern gas meters are generally designed to be resistant to electromagnetic interference, maintaining a reasonable separation distance provides an additional layer of protection against potential malfunctions. In practical terms, the 3-foot clearance requirement typically means that the electrical service entrance and the gas meter should be located on different exterior walls of the building, or at least spaced adequately apart on the same wall. When planning the installation of either an electrical service or a gas meter, it is crucial to consider the location of the other utility service to ensure compliance with the code. If it is not possible to maintain the 3-foot clearance due to space constraints, it may be necessary to install a physical barrier between the electrical service and the gas meter to provide equivalent protection. Such a barrier should be constructed of a non-combustible material and be designed to withstand physical impact and environmental conditions. Furthermore, it is important to consult with local authorities and utility companies to determine if there are any additional requirements or restrictions regarding the location of electrical services and gas meters. Local codes may be more stringent than the national code and may impose additional setback requirements or restrictions on the type of equipment that can be installed in certain locations. Regular inspections of both the electrical service and the gas meter are essential to ensure that the required clearance is maintained and that there are no signs of deterioration or damage that could compromise safety. Vegetation growth, building modifications, or accidental impacts can reduce the effective clearance and create a hazardous condition. If any issues are identified during an inspection, they should be addressed promptly to prevent accidents. Moreover, any modifications or additions to either the electrical service or the gas meter should be performed by qualified professionals who are familiar with the applicable codes and regulations. Improperly installed or modified equipment can create safety hazards and may violate the code. It is also important to note that the 3-foot clearance requirement applies to the electrical service equipment, not just the electrical conductors. This means that the entire enclosure containing the service disconnect of current protection devices and metering equipment must be located at least 3 feet away from the gas meter. The conductors themselves may be routed closer to the gas meter, provided that they are properly insulated and protected from physical damage. In summary, maintaining a minimum clearance of 3 feet between an electrical service and a gas meter is a critical safety requirement that is mandated by the National Fuel Gas Code and other applicable codes and regulations. This clearance is essential for preventing accidents, ensuring access for maintenance and repairs, and minimizing the risk of electromagnetic interference. When planning the installation of either an electrical service or a gas meter, it is crucial to consider the location of the other utility service to ensure compliance with the code. Regular inspections and proper maintenance are also essential to ensure that the required clearance is maintained and that there are no signs of deterioration or damage that could compromise safety. Always consult with qualified professionals and local authorities to ensure that all applicable codes and regulations are followed. This helps prevent potentially dangerous situations and ensures the safe and reliable operation of both the electrical and gas systems. The specific sections within NFPA 54 that address this clearance requirement may vary depending on the edition of the code that is in effect. Therefore, it is important to refer to the most recent edition of the code and any applicable local amendments to ensure compliance. In addition to the 3-foot clearance requirement, there may be other regulations that govern the installation of electrical services and gas meters, such as requirements for grounding, bonding, and overcurrent protection. It is important to be familiar with all of these regulations to ensure that the installation is safe and compliant. Furthermore, it is important to consider the location of other potential hazards, such as flammable materials and sources of ignition, when planning the installation of an electrical service or a gas meter. These hazards should be located as far away as possible from the electrical service and gas meter to minimize the risk of accident. Proper signage and labeling can also help to improve safety by alerting people to the presence of electrical and gas equipment and warning them of potential hazards. Signs should be clearly visible and legible and should provide information about the location of the equipment, the voltage of the electrical service, and the type of gas being supplied. In addition to the specific clearance requirements, there are also general safety precautions that should be followed when working with electrical and gas equipment. These precautions include wearing appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and safety glasses, and ensuring that the equipment is properly de-energized before performing any maintenance or repairs. It is also important to be aware of the potential hazards associated with electrical and gas equipment, such as electric shock, arc flash, and gas leaks. If you are not qualified to work on electrical or gas equipment, you should always hire a qualified professional to perform the work. Ignoring safety precautions can lead to serious injuries or even death. Remember, electricity and gas are essential utilities, but they can also be dangerous if they are not handled properly. By following the applicable codes and regulations and taking appropriate safety precautions, you can help to ensure the safe and reliable operation of electrical and gas systems. If any potential hazards are noticed relating to electrical service or gas meter clearances or any aspect of the systems, immediately contact your local authority. Do not attempt to fix things on your own if you are not qualified to do so. Finally, remember that the regulations and recommendations are put in place to protect the public and workers. It is in the best interest of everyone to abide by them.